given the right ingredients in your life, the body can heal,
Absolutely.
you know?
I agree
Mhm,
100% with that. And yeah,
mhm,
and I feel that like I'm living that
mhm.
truth right there.
Yes, you are.
Hi, Maria. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm just so grateful for women like you that's coming into my life. Like, I've been asking for people to come in my life to be part of my community, part of my
Mhm,
healing journey. And
mhm,
you kind of just showed up and was present, like, hi, here I am. So I'm
mhm,
so grateful for you to be here with me today, but also with my listeners. And they could definitely
mhm,
really use your wisdom and your support and your
mhm,
guidance.
mhm.
So welcome,
Well,
welcome.
well, well, thanks. I'm glad to be here. It's an honor. I'd love to share all that I've learned. I consider myself now becoming a wisdom like sage because I've looked to other people and now I'm kind of stepping into all that I've learned in my life and wanting to share it. I've always been a person that your companion along the road, that cheerleader for each and
Mm,
every person that I come in to meet and look at people as partners along the road of life, and nothing is by chance or
mm,
and it's kind of divinely orchestrated. And like you
yes.
mentioned in the beginning, like you're opening up to all of that. I think that once I recognize I've always lived with my heart on my sleeve and my heart open, but now it's really opening because it there's no other way to live, and the
Yeah.
world needs more love and understanding. And I know what it's like to be sick, and I know what it's
Mm,
like to feel like there's nowhere to turn, and
yes.
and know that ultimately the decision was to dig deep and to
Yeah.
heal myself, and then in turn, I guess, to share that wisdom experience and let you maybe pull from that, what I say, a
Mm,
pearl,
yeah.
and add to my own experience, because I believe it's a collaborative experience, really.
Absolutely.
And I feel like we have all something to learn from each other, and it's a gift. This day is a gift, and truly, I'm appreciating and grateful for the day. So how am I going to show up for it and make it the best of my ability? So
Absolutely. That's so
yeah.
beautiful. And
Mhm,
you said that you've been sick.
mhm,
You've been where you felt like you had nowhere to turn to.
mhm,
And I resonate with that so much because that's how I felt at the beginning when I was first diagnosed with my autoimmune disease. And I felt hopeless. And that part right there, the hopelessness, was
mhm,
awful. And so, and like you, I didn't let that stop me. I
mhm,
figured out, like you got to dig deeper. You got to look into yourself and figure out what's going on and what is it that the body and my mind is lacking. And so that's kind of like, like with you, is when we found that, it's like I really would like to share this with others so they don't have to feel that way. Is that kind of how you felt?
Absolutely. And all different phases, like I think our life, I would say that when I was early in my teens, and that really started my eating disorder
Mm,
experience. So, not taking care of yourself and realizing that, for me, it was magazines and unhappy with really truly what was inside, but I thought it was my
mm-hmm.
external. external, and so it developed into an eating disorder, and that really was the underlying issues of what you need to heal.
Mm,
And modern, society and medical community wants to medicate you, give you therapy, and not really, I feel, get to the root issue.
mm,
And
yes.
that took me dealing with myself and doing therapy, doing art therapy, doing whatever I could to learn more about myself and this experience, and why, on some level, I was choosing that. And it does make sense to me why I did. And it makes sense that where I can take the pearls of that experience and not not recreate it, the
Yeah.
self-esteem, the confidence, and how, we're truly, as people, not really giving nourishing foods
Mm,
to nourish
yeah.
the mind, body, and
Yeah.
soul. And we've been taught, that we're all compartmentalized, when really there's this one car that I say today when I'm talking about a wellness toolbox, or when I'm doing a meditation. You're filling your heart with this healing heart energy, and then you're sending it out. Now, if I was a car and I was putting in the wrong gasoline, and it's not going to run, it's going to eventually break down. So the body will do the same. And if I didn't address the body, um, at that point, yes, I was, I'm 5'7", I was 100 pounds, I was,
Wow.
you know, um, concerned, yes, as you're 18, 19 years old, and you could continue that. And I did, until all of a sudden, no period, um, hair growing differently, depressed, not sure what I should be doing. And that was where I said, oh my goodness, I don't want to live this way. So
Mm-hmm.
therapy, um, starting to go to groups, trying to do whatever I could to get well. And well for every person is different.
Yes.
And the things that I did to make me well, um, they worked for me. They're in my wellness toolbox. I had faith, I had hope,
Mm,
because I
mm,
had other people that I could reach out to, fabulous therapists and art therapists. And then cultivating a community of people that had healed themselves,
mm,
and then realizing, if I truly wanted to be better physically, mentally, in order to continue college, all these visuals that I wanted for myself, I needed to I needed to do it. I need to do the work and take accountability. And in life, we have to do that. So flash forward through college. My degree is in psychology. I was also my undergrad is special education.
okay.
Yeah, so I think, looking back, I was the person. I don't want to say the underdog, but those kind of authentic personalities and people that want to help, the caretaker in myself, and did that for a number of years. And then after I'm done school and working with special education people, through a fabulous school called the Bancroft School, I left there and decided I needed to try something new. So I was in sales and marketing for 10 years, in electronic components. So learning communication, getting out in the world. And all along, fitness and running was my side hustle, because that filled me up. I knew that
Mm,
it was right when gyms were starting, and women's gyms in particular. So I was teaching, and that music, that was exciting, that was happy. We were starting to get more into the Elaine Powers, and people were, recognizing how exercise is so important. But again, um, it was still compartmentalized. It wasn't this
mm,
synergy. It wasn't this connection. So, and I always knew I had faith because I grew up as a Catholic, but it was something that was inside, that I knew that my connection to God and something greater than me was something that I always had and I could call on.
yes. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
said so many, beautiful things. And what struck me, like I would like to start like from a little
Mm-hmm.
bit from the beginning was, you were down this path. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
we're in a society that does not support our health at all, right?
Yeah,
I do agree with that.
I agree.
So, and that's what I heard
Mm-hmm.
in your story. And
Absolutely.
so you don't know any different, right? So you keep doing what you're doing, what you're doing, what you're doing. And then to the point where you can't do that anymore. And but a lot of people, they know they can't do it anymore, but then they're like, but I don't know what else to do, where to go, and what to do next. But then, and I heard you say something similar. You felt that, but then you started surrounding yourself with people who were on the journey that you wanted to be on. So you had that wisdom enough inside you at such a young age to understand that, okay, you basically, I'm just gonna, like, paraphrase it.
Mhm.
Basically, you are who you surround yourself with, correct?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
whether you understood that exact,
Mhm.
mindset, you did, but like maybe in a
Mhm.
different way.
Mhm.
And then that kind of, catapulted you on that journey.
Mhm.
And it's something I wanted to point out to the listeners of this podcast, is that there is a point in time where you're done. Enough is enough, but then you're like, where do I turn? But sometimes you just have to turn somewhere and try something different and look to people who are already doing it. People who
Mhm.
you want to be like, lives you want to be like. So that is like one of the first steps. Do you have any other, anything to add to that?
Yes, I agree that you definitely have to have people, and you are those people that you surround yourself with. And you also, what I've always tuned into, that is my intuition and my gut instinct.
Yes.
And it really honed itself. I will share in that in the eating disorder times, it was my stomach that was, obviously I was eating and throwing up. So you had that hole in your third chakra, your stomach.
Mm,
And but it was also an indication that something was going on, and it's like your body is talking, Maria, you're not listening,
yes.
and
Yes.
it's trying to pay attention, saying, knock knock, hey, I'm here for
Mm,
you.
mm,
And following the your intuition that you're seeing things differently, and it's okay to be different,
mm.
and you are a passionate emotional being, and that's okay too.
Yes.
But it does take time to know that you're enough, and know that those feelings aren't, they are just feelings, but they are instruments, and they give you information just as much as food is giving me information for my body to thrive. And
Yes.
I utilize the word lifestyle, and I never really utilize the word as diet.
Yes. Thank you.
And
Yes.
with my children, I try to watch black or white thinking, what's good and not good, or
Mm,
good and bad. Like, it's more about what's the energy that you're taking in, and realizing that this car, this vehicle, I want it to be as efficient as it can be. And what I was not given, and I don't think society was, women aging gracefully and aging healthily. Like, there was a point, I feel, for me, women my age when I was growing up didn't look like me. You know, they didn't look like me, because my
mm,
aunts didn't look like me. They were overweight. They
mm,
were not doing the things I'm doing. They weren't walking. They weren't eating nutritionally. They weren't going to workshops. They weren't
mm,
reading self-help and being involved in supportive groups to say, oh, let me shift my mindset.
mm.
Like it was as if, and now fortunately, because we have the phone and we have access to these experiences, I feel like I have no excuse not to grow and learn every day.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
was utilizing that. So I am, I'm now more open today because I think I have, I have wisdom that I need to share with other people. So maybe the road's going to be a little easier.
Yes.
And I also have 4 children. I have 2 daughters and 2 sons. And the experience that I have, my children are watching us every single day. And, I think that they are. And I want to be the best me that I can be. And some days I'm not happy with how I am, but guess what? I get up the next morning and I have gratitude that I had this day, and I give myself grace and compassion where recognizing, I will say, with many women, the comparison and the competition and the negative chatter on our own, and seeing, then that's where you said the spirituality, like where in Catholicism, I felt like it was very black or white, and it was kind of like, and the guilt that was created. You're not good enough. God's going to, the gates aren't going to open for you. There's a lot of things that really allowed myself to feel less than in God's eyes in this being. So I don't feel that way any longer.
How were you able to shift that? Because that's a lot of conditioning right there, especially, as a child that runs deep for the rest of your life. So how were you able to shift that, like with, feeling, excuse me, not feeling good enough in God's eyes to having a more loving connection to God?
I think that not only was it that I wasn't having a feeling like God was loving me, I wasn't loving me. And I really am so aware today that everything that has occurred for me in my life on some level was energetically being created because of the experience from inside. And I was attracting it, like as much as that I don't necessarily like manifesting or the law of attraction. We are energy beings, and how I show up, how I am, has been, I feel very consistent, but I also feel like if I could have shifted it or turned that dial, who, I don't know. So I'm right now realizing how I want to tune that dial up, and then I can do it, and I can do it in my timing, and and realize that, like just to dream and to step into that person that, ultimately the day you leave, you hope you left a legacy and you left people saying, gosh, that Maria, she's a chick. I really loved her. She made me feel great. And she was helpful. I love the way she taught yoga, like whatever she could cook a great meal. And, like my daughter would say, oh, Mama's kitchen and Maria's kitchen, because I always was welcoming, because my house is your house. I really love people, and I want the best for all of us.
Yeah.
I really do. And I believe that I didn't know that it was in my realm or in anyone's realm to actually have that. But it starts with me, and it starts with you.
Yeah.
And if I can start it here and it's going to ripple out, then job well done, sister,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's, and so, once I was in the experience of sales, I could sell things, and then health and wellness has been my side hustle that I've continued, for 4 kids going to the gym with me in the stroller while I taught a class, to now they're off in their own careers and healthy and living life. And I too have fortunately have a great team, my husband, my kids, and now taking my experiences of still teaching and putting it in Maria fashion way, with recognizing, yes, how do you have faith and hope and gratitude, and cultivating to be my own healthcare advocate
Mm.
for myself. And then also that I want you to have that too. I want you to learn that, oh, your internal wisdom is telling you something, and
Yeah.
healing's possible, that it's that love tap on the shoulder. It doesn't define you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're gonna get through it. And I believe in you, and I know we can. and
Yeah.
and our and our health is really our wealth. If we don't have it, and it's what has saddened me is that our society in some way looks to somebody else to tell us what to do.
Mm. I know. I
And
feel that. I totally feel that, especially now. What's happening
yes,
in the world today, I feel that as well. It's like, please
yes,
save me. But they don't understand you could save yourself. If
100%.
everyone could save themselves and start showing up for themselves, you actually show up for everyone else, and no one has to save
Exactly.
you. Everyone is already there and ready to do and serve
Hmm.
what they're here to do.
Right.
So that, yeah,
Resilient. Yeah.
yeah,
And given the right ingredients in your life, the body can heal.
absolutely.
You
I,
know.
I, I agree
Hmm.
100% with that. And,
Hmm.
and I feel that like I'm living that
Hmm.
truth right there.
Yes, you are. And I think that from my experience of having an eating disorder for many years, I healed my body enough to have 4 children, not have problems, and to have
Mm,
had them home birthed, and to realize just how strong my body is, even as hard as I was on it, that it
yeah.
had the ability to heal, and that
Yes.
I I'm not taking that for granted.
Yes. Yes. I always say you only have one body in this lifetime, and you have to live in that body. No one else gets to live in your body but yourself. So when someone tells you to do something, or someone says, oh, well, you don't have to, you know, you don't have to, watch what you eat. You don't have to worry about the thoughts that are in your head. Just take this medication, like,
Hmm.
don't worry, I got you. No, 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 no. They're not
Hmm.
living in your body. You are.
Hmm.
And deep down with you were saying, Maria, deep down, you got that wisdom, you got that intuition. It's not right. Listen to
Hmm.
yourself, follow
Hmm.
yourself. And
Hmm.
you are not the victim. You are your savior. And you have that power to start making changes.
Agree. And that's why I love the warrior poses in yoga,
Ooh,
because
yes.
warrior, you're your own warrior. And I love archer because of when I empower myself and uplift myself, just that
Mm,
energy. And, it's going to ripple out. And,
absolutely.
and we all have to sometimes dig deep. I often say, you might have to put those big girl panties on and stand up for yourself and do
Yeah.
things and use your voice.
Yes.
And I think that I had a reality check when for 10 years, working with women that were from all over the country with cancer diagnoses, and recognizing that, trying to encourage them to be their own healthcare advocate, and
Very important.
knowing to self-reflect, and not to, it's a fine line to say, uh, take responsibility and accountability, and it was very, you're not given enough time to breathe in ways for people that are first diagnosed with whatever it is,
Mm,
and to have an ability to step back and breathe and go, what's the best thing? What's my body telling me? Let me look at this differently. And I did, and I do, um, in many ways. And in some ways, I've learned that that's not encouraged, because there's a lot of people wanting that money that comes from
yes.
that comes from
Sadly. Yeah.
from being I don't want to say like a victim mentality, but also just not recognizing. And I grew up with, parents that believed solely in what the white coat person said to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And I can understand and I appreciate it and I have great respect, but they're people too.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I often have taught myself over the years, really, and I guess because of the eating disorder too, like because doctors were part of my uh, care in ways, but those people had to they had to be partners. They had to talk to me like I was a real person. They were my partner in this experience,
Yeah.
and if I didn't resonate with them, then I didn't. And I did that with my children, from their doctors to
Mm.
whoever it was. They had to align with what I felt was right.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. I love that. It's kind of like,
mm-hmm,
you know, you don't have to stay with that doctor. You don't have
mm-mm,
to. And they're not your dictator. They're your
mm-mm,
partner
mm-hmm,
and you've hired them. So, yeah, like it's like buying a pair of shoes. Yeah, I don't really care for these. I'm going to put these back and try another pair on. And you keep trying on a pair of shoes until you find the right one that's comfortable and suits your needs.
you.
That's the same as a doctor. You don't have to stay with that doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, the doctor is not the final decision and everything. And that's where you come in, what you were talking about with being your own advocate. I mean, that is something that I've learned as well. Is that's huge, because when you feel like something's not right, something's not right. You know yourself better than anybody else does. I don't care how long they have read about the human body in a book. Are you in that book?
100%. A
Yeah.
100%. And also being that seeker to realize that there are people that have maybe walked your walk a little differently,
Mm-hmm.
and then add information like with autoimmune, it's very different. So everybody, and you're going to be that educator for other people that have walked your walk maybe a little differently, and then
Mm-hmm.
we can continually our life is long if we choose to I think be graced with a long life. Been a
Yeah,
gift. So
absolutely.
are we going to take care of the gift to
Yes.
the best of our ability? and
Yes.
and there are days that you may not, but give yourself grace, because you're going to pick yourself up the next day.
Yes. Grace is so, yes, you
Mm-hmm.
have to. You have to stop beating yourself up. You are
Yeah.
human. You will make mistakes. I've heard you say it a little bit in your story, and I know that's my story as well. It's like, it's not perfect. Every day is not like, woohoo, waking up happy. It's not. It's not. You have your ups and your lows, but the more you do it, you have more ups than lows, and even your lows are not as low. So your dips are not as deep as it would be if you weren't making any changes and doing what's best for yourself.
100%. 100%. And I think that that's the gift of living a life and having a different perspective, instead of recognizing that there are roads and there are choices in those roads, and you get to choose.
Yes,
Ultimately, you get to
absolutely.
choose, and there's wisdom and lessons, and if you can look at things
Yes.
differently, as
Yeah.
opposed to
Yeah,
how we're.
it's stepping back, like, okay, you just hit an obstacle. It's not the end
Mhm,
of the world.
mhm,
Yes, this stinks. It really, really stinks right now. But like you said, you got to sit back and, like, what is the lesson that I'm meant to learn? Because that's why it's here. This roadblock is here because I'm not meant to keep going forward. I'm meant to go a different route. What is that lesson I'm ready to learn, and that I need to incorporate into my life?
mhm.
So you kind of spoke about, you know, I'm not sure if it was your exact words, but basically, when you were speaking, this is what came to me, was fear. When you're first diagnosed, okay, fear just just hits you so hard, and you feel it in your body. You feel your energy just drop. You feel everything just kind of crashing inside of you when you're first diagnosed, because you're not expecting this. And this is not what you thought your life would be like. And, you spoke about, you got to step back and really find out what's the best path for you to take now that you know this diagnosis, because this diagnosis doesn't have to be the end, and it's what you choose to do with this diagnosis. But the thing is, when you go to your doctor and you're diagnosed with it, it's fear-based. It's always fear-based. And when you're in that fear, your nervous system is in that fight or flight, and when you're in that sympathetic state, you can't think clearly. You cannot. You're not able to take a step back. It's just because your body is ready to flee and fight if it needs to, so it doesn't have time to be able to think. So the way that I feel like the conventional medicine is set up, it's all fear-based. You have to do this or you're going to die, or you have to do this and there's no other alternative. That was told to me, not the death part, but there's no other alternative. And something inside me said it's not true. There's always another way, right? There's always some other route that you can take. You have to be creative. And like you said, you have to be able to take a step back. So that being said, obviously, it's really hard to take a step back when you're in that fear state. Do you have any nuggets or anything that when someone that you could give to someone that when they are in that state? I would say give yourself permission to be where you are right now. Don't beat yourself up about it. But how do you shift that mindset from being fear? Because getting out of fear is so hard, especially when you're in it. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I do. Even just acknowledging that you're in fear is bringing fear in. And even what I would say to a person, and for myself, is to get moving, to get those emotions out.
Yes.
And to feel it, and also to be present with it, because it's not defining you. And that's where my practice of yoga and breathing, because when you're in fear and anxiety, you do not breathe. So we hold it here in our chest. So that's why I will say conscious breath, ground your feet, engage your core, let that breath move from the base all the way up to the top of the head. And I will actually have them use their fingers. So it helps with your hands, or your meridians from your hands to your arms, all the way up to your brain. So it highlights parts of the brain. So it actually gives oxygen to the brain. And then I visualize opening my heart. And then I will say, get on your yoga mat. If it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or get outside, get perspective, but really just get out of your own way to shift that energy. And I will say, God, I need help here. Mom, she's in heaven. I go, I could use a sign, please. Am I in the right path? Am I on the right path? Turn me around, please. And I've been more aware of like today, I'm teaching a class, and I leave the class and I get on a treadmill, and behind me is this pastor that I loved from the church that was in town. He's no longer. And I thought, okay, God, do you want me to talk to him? Because I need an answer for something. And I said, oh. So I'm running, and I run, and I get off, and I just say, hey, hi, Pastor Twiddle. And he pulls me in, and we had this really beautiful conversation. And then he says, can we pray? And I said, yeah, can you hold my hand? And because he reaches out, and I was like, so he's holding my hand, and we were praying, because he was really helping my heart through this situation for me. And then after it, I thanked him, and I said, I guess you were meant to be here. He goes, yeah. He goes, I wasn't coming. He goes, but for some reason, I know. I go, that's what I said. I said, so because our health's our wealth? He goes, absolutely. And I said, you're on on that bike because you know you need to. Like, and he's like, yes. So I made the commitment. I said, well, thank you, because you were exactly what I needed. Thank you. And so I think those, if we're open to seeing the signs, they're there.
Yeah. I mean,
They're
that was
there.
huge. I mean,
Huge.
you guys were
And
in the same place for a
right
reason.
reason. And then he didn't know that I was actually going to a very good friend of mine that is dealing with an autoimmune disorder, and is now really choosing to go to hospice because his he has it's a rare lung disorder, and now he chose to do oxygen, and he's been doing traditional, so he's not so it's to be with him and then to be with his wife and to just be in grace, really, and compassion, and honored that of the friend that I ran the Marine Corps marathon with him.
Wow.
And it was the hardest. We separated, and he was faster than I, and he waited for me at the end. And I will be forever grateful. So I was thinking to myself, I guess you're going to be greeting me up there in heaven one day when I get up there. And just to know that he is loved, and he was a gift for my life.
Yes.
And I'm grateful. And I think, we all have, obstacles and challenges and gifts and all these things through this journey of life. And to be in grace that we get to be here.
Yes.
And I'm grateful to have the courage to start to reach out to people that maybe someone, a pearl in my life, or another person that I was like, wow, look, because I needed, and that was I still volunteer for a man by the name of Chris Wark, and Chris has a business called, he had cancer at 26, and he's now 43, and he did it through nutrition. And he has a Square Run program that I've been a mentor for a number of years. And what drew me into him was he had a testimonial of saying, he had God moments along his journey. And he's like, today he wouldn't have 2 kids. He might not be here if he did something different than he chose.
Absolutely.
And it's not easy, but it was certainly, he's alive today to share it. I need those type of people in my life.
Yeah.
So just like you, for me, is that another person in my life to say, wow, she healed this. So who knows that I'm going to run into contact of a client that may want to speak to you because of your journey. So it's really a gift, and I'm grateful for the connection.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. Yeah. I mean, he's still here today. If he would have went the traditional route, and he felt it in his heart that wasn't for him.
Exactly.
And he followed that, and that's the beauty, is he didn't doubt himself. I'm sure he doubted himself, along the way.
Absolutely.
But he still did it anyways, because you got that doubt, but you got that other voice, like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. And he listened to that heartfelt voice instead of that fear-based voice.
Absolutely. Yes. And the fear, I think, is in life is always going to be there, any kind of situation. And we're going to have doubt, and you're going to have sadness, whatever the emotion is, you will have those. But knowing that ultimately, someone was asking me too, like, how do you know and discern? I said, just quieting your mind and feeling what is right. Like, really, whether now, another tool that I'm going to be adding more is journaling, to get out some of those
Okay.
emotions, and then or journal it, and maybe I'm going to read the next move, like what's what's your next you know, where am I
Yeah.
supposed to go, God? What am I supposed to be
Yeah.
doing, you know?
Yeah. They say you
I,
just want, you just keep writing, keep writing.
mm-hmm,
Doesn't even
mm-hmm,
matter. And then
mm-hmm,
eventually what's meant to come out will come out.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a lot of good wisdom there. And
Mm.
what are you doing now today to support other people who are on this path as you are on? What kind of service? What do you do for others?
Well, currently I have an online yoga practice 3 days a week that people can come to. It's a membership for a month. I've started it since actually right during COVID. I was on Facebook Live. I worked for also for the gym. They asked me to volunteer, and I did. And then and I decided actually this January, it will be the first year of membership for my classes. So that is a stream of income. I'm also doing virtual health coaching with people that want to incorporate a more plant-based lifestyle, just looking into um, what fuels them.
Mm,
And I really feel like it is your food is key, but also your mindset is key, and having an empathetic heart, someone along that road with you, is beneficial. I'm also back in the gyms teaching yoga and Pilates, and different various studios and gyms to share that passion for others. And I'm still doing some speaking engagements for eating disorders. They're the national organization, also in high schools. And I've currently been coaching a young woman that's 15, and doing that pretty much, on as an as needed basis. And I'm getting my podcast up and ready to launch too, for One Healthy Woman. And I'd love to have you on it, because sharing what works for each and every person, and experts in the field, from some doctors that I've followed, and programs that I've been involved with, from beatcancer.org to Chris Wark, also to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, Pam Popper, and many other experts in the field that I would love to have share their information with our listeners, because
yes,
we need to have, we need that, and
absolutely.
yeah, and the
Yes.
information, thank God, is available today. Where, I there was a woman, her name is Susan Silberstein, and she started this organization that, basically her husband was 30 years old when he was diagnosed with a cancer,
Mm,
and she was going to the library, and she was looking up information for him and to try and help save him.
yeah.
Unfortunately, he passed away, and that was many, many years ago. But
Okay.
because of her legacy and his legacy,
Yeah.
there's information as health,
Mm,
advocates, that the journey can be supported,
yeah.
and there's different ways to go, to other than what's traditionally gifted to us as society.
Absolutely.
And so I would consider myself a very holistic, in terms of how I live my life, and and I hope to continue this way. And
Yeah.
there's no reason why you can't live to, like, in the blue zones, and
Yeah.
there are people that, my goodness, I followed, that have healed their cancers and had clinics, and you know from Dr. Schultz to Kelly Brogan. I'm sure you probably know Kelly Brogan, and a lot of other doctors that are just amazing, from Dr.
Yeah.
Esselson. And so we're the communities out there,
Yes,
if
it
you're
is.
willing to, like, go, oh, okay. And I find that some people are, like, kind of poo poo it, or it shakes their reality,
Yeah.
because we're so one way,
Uh-huh.
the paradigm, and they're like, no, I can't go there yet. But eventually, And I'm grateful that I'll be 60 years old this March.
Wow, you're looking really good. You're looking really good.
I feel good. I feel good. And you know what? It's really, it's weird, but to realize like, hey, I'm still teaching and doing something that I love. And it was my husband when we first met when I was in my 20s. I was 27 and 28. And he's like, oh, what are you doing? I go, oh, I teach I teach a 6 a.m. Fitness class. He goes, oh, really? I go, yeah. I mean, all days, he's like, oh, when are you going to give that up? I go, never. So, and it's been great. So I've still continued it.
Yeah.
And why not? So.
Yes, absolutely. My mother, she's about 9 years older than you are. And we were actually over Thanksgiving, she mentioned, she's like, because her mother died, so my mom will be 69 in December this month.
Wow.
So I think her mother died like in her early 70s of cancer, and I wasn't on this path yet. So, and even if I was on this path, doesn't mean my grandmother would, come along with me. It's each person, it has to make that choice, right? We can't do it for them. And my mother said, yeah, I feel like I'm going to die, around same age as my mother did. And I was like, you know what, Mom? You could be right. If you're living the same way that your mother did, then yes, you could be right. But if you choose to take a different path and have a different lifestyle that supports your health and allows you to age more gracefully and still be able to feel good in your body, you won't. So, and that's the thing. People say, I feel like, well, my father died of a heart attack, I'm going to die of a heart attack. Or, I'm obese because my family is. It's just genetics. No, it's not genetics. It isn't. It's lifestyle. These are all lifestyle diseases. And people have been told that, but they don't really understand that. And so you don't have to go down the same path as the people around you. And that's what you and I, Maria, have done. We've decided, no, this is not for me. And we were lucky enough, at the time, I didn't feel this was, a good thing, and I'm sure you didn't. But when we hit that breaking point in our health where that made us decide and made us wake up, because you said something about, it's inside knocking on you, it's communicating with you. Like my whole life, I knew it's been communicating like, hey, Amanda, this is not good for you, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't know where to turn. And my doctor said, well, this is how it is, here's your antibiotics, here's your, whatever it is, so I didn't know how that I could get off that path until it was screaming, like myself inside my body was screaming, no more, we can't take any more. And that's when I was able to stop to listen. So it's, some people don't, like some people, that's not their rock bottom, or they don't trust themselves enough. And women like you and I, and other people like your friend who was diagnosed at 26 with cancer, and he took a different path and is still here today. So it's having people, like you said, way back when we didn't have all this technology at our fingertip, people didn't realize or could find and connect with other people who are doing it. And nowadays we can, and women like you and I, Maria, we're stepping up and we're saying, hey, come along, see what we're doing. You don't have to live this way anymore. Come with us on our healing journey, learn with us, because we are never done. Like we were speaking before I hit record, is like, we're never done. Like our masterpiece is still in the making. You're always going to have to support yourself and do the right things for yourself. And it doesn't you don't have to think of it as a burden. Think of it as coming from love. You're loving on yourself. You're loving on yourself your whole life so that you can show up in this world as your best self, so that you could really, really serve others and do what you're meant to come down here for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's really a gift, this world, to come here in this time and place, and to want to leave it a little better, and
Yes.
to know that there are those experiences didn't define us, but they gave us wisdom. And then we're going to take that information, and then how important it is to cultivate a practice. And that's why every day, how you wake up in the morning is important. How do you start your day?
Yeah.
What do you say to yourself? How do you go throughout how do you move through your day?
Yeah.
It does make a difference.
It
And then how
does.
do you end it? Do you end it with a gratitude practice? Do you end it with a prayer? And starting to make those shifts. If you don't have a practice, just recognizing the benefits of it and wanting to cultivate more joy and more happiness in your life is really a choice. It's like like I've trained for marathons, so and in anything that you want to achieve, it takes training, it takes a practice.
Yes.
It doesn't, and the idea, I think, of the impatience of our world and the impatience of our, as you're a child, that they want it tomorrow, they want it instant.
Yep.
And our world wants it instant, and recognizing that it may be the wrong choice if it was an instant.
Yep.
And that it's in divine timing.
Yes.
And to trust that that's in divine timing.
Yes, trust. That's the big thing, that
100.
yes, people could tell you that it's it'll happen when it's meant to be. It's but if you don't trust that and really believe that, it's gonna be really, really hard for you to receive. And be patient and allow that to come when you're ready for it.
Absolutely. And also that, for me, it was actually learning how to receive, because if you're constantly being that caretaker, that person that's gifting all your energy out, recognizing that there was, quite a time I didn't really realize how much I was on my own treadmill and of life, and that it was not serving me. And I was creating dis-ease, and then looking at it and going, oh, I need to stop and pause. I'm not breathing, and if I don't watch myself and be the observer of like, how's your life, Maria, that this can be a problem. This can create something. I don't, I have a perspective for me is that, disease or situations don't just happen. Like, yes, maybe an accident, but I think sometimes that's the universe. Like I was meeting with a friend, she was in yoga, and she said, I go, how was your trip? She goes, it was awful. And she said, because we had signs that were saying we shouldn't be going on this. This isn't the right thing. And we went anyway. And they, they're okay, but they had, it wound up to be very challenging. They got sick, and she said, we had, she said, like, the universe was trying to tell us, this isn't where you're supposed to be going, guys. And I often think that that's, if we have the opportunity to look in the back for the information, you'll see it. The trail, it's like that trail.
And you have to let go of the outcome that you think you're supposed to have or what you want, because that's why we're not like receiving all these signs. I feel a lot of times, because we have this outcome like set in our minds, but we have to be willing, because true faith is not having those attachments to outcomes. True faith is allowing what's meant to be, and that when you allow it to be, it actually becomes bigger than what you ever imagined it would be. but it's having that faith and that trust, there it is again, that trust, like, and yeah, and like, yeah.
And that's like the whole thing. I felt like my eating disorder or any experience, like even parenting, where you're holding something for control, that if you just allow the hands to open, and it's surrendering, it's being,
Yeah.
it's all that uncomfortable energy that on some level as adulting we forget the beginner's mind.
Yeah.
And somehow as you
Yep.
adult you think you should, there's that word should, have all the answers, because you're taught as you age you should have the answers. And sometimes that's not the case. You have to pause and the answers will come.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, what an amazing journey that you've been on, and that you've actually stepped and received the lessons that you're meant to learn, and to realize what path you have to, because I'm sure you pivoted so many times through your life. You're not always on the same path. I mean, in the end, it's the destination is the same that you want, but it depends on what path you're on. So yeah, you've definitely stepped up to the plate, because you didn't keep all this to yourself, like all these like little nuggets of wisdom that you received along the way. You didn't just keep it for yourself. You're doing what you're meant to do on this earth, and that is to bring people along and help them and serve them fully. And you stepped up to the plate and you said, okay, I'm here, I'll do this.
Yep, I did. I have said that. And if that's the gift, I think, of being here today. Like if there's a person that needs some support and I could help in any way, I would do that.
Yes.
I really would.
And supporting, and the main key though is supporting yourself.
Absolutely.
As you're supporting others, because then if you can't support yourself, you can't fully serve others.
100%. Yeah. And then I believe that you can empower someone and then uplift them so then they can grab the reins and take it and move
Yes.
forward in their own life. It's just like that high five, or I think the enthusiasm of running for me, it was being around a pack of people all doing something that were enhancing, but we were all cheering each other on.
Yes.
And
You're
getting
feeling
to
each
the
other's
finish.
energy.
100%. Yeah, you do. You do.
Because I could feel that going into the gym. Like, I don't like working out on my own. I need that energy of other people, that energetic energy. And we're all doing this together. And that what gets me motivating, gets me going, gives me energy.
100%. Yeah, I love it too. Yeah. But it's beautiful I can't believe that you can actually feel it through a Zoom.
I know, right?
Feel it.
Well, you know what?
I feel it.
Yeah, you can, because we're all connected. We're all connected. We're all energetic beings, and we are connected with people on the other side of the world, and we don't really realize it. So that's like, when I started like health coaching people through Zoom, I'm like, is that the same as being in person? But it is. And I was like, wow, am I seeing it through this? Am I seeing it through the camera? Like, why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling their energy? And it's not. We're already connected together.
Yes, we are. I had my husband is he's an engineer, but he went to Barbara Brennan School of Healing, and that's an energetic practitioner school. It's 30, actually it's 30 or 40 years. And so he was going and teaching there as well. And he was starting to do clients, and these people he was healing and doing energetic sessions with, they were across the country. They were in Japan, a lot of these. And I was like, and he, and I would field the phone calls for the sessions, and they would share their insight. And it was profound when you're across the world with people. And then also it was fascinating because I would write up his, the protocol, or write up his, the experience, the results of the session. And it was profound to feel what he felt, and then to be able to read everything that he wrote, and that person confirm exactly what transpired that I was reading and writing. So it's fascinating to see that we're just energy, and and
Yeah.
healing can happen if there's, I believe, the intention to heal,
Mm-hmm.
and that love, and so it's possible. Anything's possible. You
Absolutely.
know.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing that your husband um, has that training.
Yeah. It's been a gift for our family. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And then we, as a couple, when we were first married, went to a school called Energy Mastery by a doctor. His name is Dr. Jaffe, and he was a New Jersey doctor that became um, more of a holistic, energetic healer, and had a school. So we did that as a couple. So that was pretty incredible when you're
Wow.
first starting your marriage. Yeah. To heal
Um,
aspects. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you really set yourself up early with, with like-minded people. Like whoa, like you definitely like I can't like just imagine like if I was able to do the same thing you did at such a, a young age, I would be wow, I would be so somewhere different. And but we all have our own journey, so I have to be okay with that, right? um
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm really inspired about you know who you're surrounding yourself with and who you're married to, like like you brought that into your life, into your into your home, and you're able to experience that as well. And yeah, you've been on this journey for a while, and it sounds like you're still continuing to learn and
We
take
are.
other people's hands. And like you can't drag them, right? You can't drag them along.
No.
It doesn't work because
No.
they
Doesn't
have to
work.
be willing. They have to do it themselves, right?
Right. Willing
But
participant.
yes, and but we're here to kind of trigger that within them and to inspire them to realize, oh, wait a minute, you're right, I can do this. And I know I could have all along, I just didn't trust myself. And so we're here like, come here, come here, I'll give you a hug, like when they start realizing,
Yeah.
because you said, you have to take responsibility for your actions and your responsibility in your role in your health. And that includes leading up to where you are right now, like even your past. So you have to take responsibility, but the important parts of that is accepting you did what you did because that was your path, but now you're here. Like, don't beat yourself up over it. Like, I can't believe I did that to myself all these years. And it's not about beating yourself up. And it's about saying, yes, I did that. I didn't know. I did the best that I could with the tools that were given to me. And now I'm getting these new wonderful tools. And now I get to use these. And I can start rebuilding my body, my life, my mind, everything. And it's what you do with that, right?
It is. It is. And it's your perspective, and
Yes.
recognizing that you don't have to live in that past definition of where you were, but
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to fall, but you're going to pick yourself up and keep going.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons I was so attracted to Kathy Heller, in that it was the first time I was introduced to a group setting of like-minded people, that she
Mm.
was speaking my language of energetics, speaking my language of, okay, um, you have to expand your heart, and abundance is good, self-care. All these people that she brought into my life gave me just confirmation
Yeah.
that the life that I was leading for 10 years with the nonprofit was ending, because it was supposed to end, and there's another new chapter that's
Mm.
opening, because um, the paradigm, it was not me.
Yeah.
And it's sad and it's painful, but also it was a lesson, and you're learning it. But now you're taking all that information and how you're going to go. Like, just like you've recognized you were sick, and now you're healing it, so it doesn't define you. So then you're going to take that and say, hey, here's another way,
Yeah.
come with me.
Yes.
Check it out. Like, who knows? What if? And like even picturing, myself as to where am I going to live? Like, just even calling in that experience of, if you get the opportunity to live a long life, how do you want to live it?
Yes.
And we do have choice.
Yes, we do.
And and I don't think it's communicated that way.
No.
No. And
no,
I think
it isn't. It is not.
No. And
Because,
then also, what are
yeah.
words? Just like when we were talking about the mind, all the words that we choose are playing an energy in our bodies.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I'm working on the unconscious words and the unconscious programming, and recognizing how, wow,
Yep.
and go, wow, they're hardwired, and you can understand they were hardwired. So I'm changing that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
first, you have to have the light bulb and the aha moments,
Yes. That awareness. That's the first step. If you're not aware of it, you can't change it, right?
No, exactly. You can't change it.
And celebrate that awareness. Even if you don't do anything with it at first, celebrate that you have come to that awareness. And then you keep practicing that awareness, and then you start moving forward. Okay, what's next? Okay, I'm aware of it. Now how do I fix this? How do I change this? And when you ask those questions, you ask those questions but don't have that outcome, like just leave it at that question, like, how can this be better? How can, and it will come to you. You can't tell yourself what it is. You can't look for the answer. The answer will come to you, because if you look for the answer, you're not going to get the right one, because that's going to come from your conscious mind, and your conscious mind has no idea what the answer is. So it's a waiting, where you said, with patience.
Right. And the words were, be the change you want to see.
Yeah.
And want to see in this world. And, often at the end of my yoga class, they'll say, keep on shining your light, because the world needs you, and there's only one you. Yes. And I've been really taking that in, because realizing there's only one you.
Yes.
And what a great, and that's pretty darn profound.
Yes.
And just you is enough.
Yes.
In this world. And I love how Kathy would say, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called, or I might have messed it up too, but it's just, we are love, and we have to love ourselves, and it's been a gift.
Yeah, and trust that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if we all felt that way, and we all continue to let our light shine, and be our own advocate, and do what we need to do, the whole world will be a better place, because everybody's there. And we're so consumed with distractions, and if we got to work harder, we have to work harder, and our life is just being our life is just flying past us, and we're not living it. And it's just that way that we're conditioned. So if we all show up and showed up for ourselves, we will no longer need that distraction, because we have that distraction because we're unhappy. We don't know what to do with that unhappiness, and we don't know how to stand up for ourselves and advocate for ourselves. And so I feel, I don't know about you, Maria, but I feel like now that I'm really, really getting into my journey, is I find distractions so boring now. like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still human, I still get distracted. But I feel I don't need that need to like say it's social media. Like I'm on there for a purpose and not for mindless distraction. I'm bored. I'm bored with like shallow conversations. I'm finding that like with movies, I'm so freaking bored. Like unless this movie has some kind of inspiration and something for me to learn from, it's not worth my time. Like I don't feel that any like that like what is it like dopamine or something like when
Right.
people people
Right.
are searching
Yeah.
for. I'm not finding it in those mindless distractions anymore. Do you feel the same?
Yes. And your time is important, and where I put my energy is important.
Yes.
So distractions, I catch myself when I'm distracting, whether it's social media, just to scroll because I don't want to deal with something. So it's more of like, oh, Maria, get back in action, get back, So, and I will say often little things like, everything's figure outable. You can do this, like Marie Forleo, and get back to you, get back to what your purpose is.
Yes.
And it's easily, we're all distracted. We can, and
it's
that
by
too is a
design.
choice.
Yeah.
100%. And sometimes I don't watch the news. I don't watch TV.
Yeah.
I choose what I watch, and
Yeah.
I don't pick, and I delete things, and I'm choosing. And I think that that's a better way to live.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And,
Yep.
so it's better. Yeah, it's better. It changes, you notice as energetic beings, and I'm very empathetic. So
yeah.
I want to choose because I want to feel good.
Yes.
And it's good to feel good, and then,
yes.
and if my cup's filled and I'm feeling well, then I do well. And it's just a better day for me and the world.
Absolutely.
And all of us have that right to do that. Do it your way,
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
and I also feel like as a society we have to agree to disagree, and you have your choices, and it's
yes. Let people have their belief. Let them. It's none of your business. If it doesn't affect you, it's none of your business. And who's to say that my beliefs are right and yours is wrong, and vice versa? So just be open-minded and receive what resonates with you, and don't say that's what doesn't resonate with you. You just put it aside, say thank you, but that's not for me.
Exactly.
And that brings away all that that negative energy and stuff like that. Just let people be.
Sure.
Let them
100%.
be. They're on their own journey and stuff. So as we're going to wrap up here, and before we go, what is one thing that you feel would really help the listeners of this podcast, these women out there who are suffering with autoimmune diseases, and they're feeling stuck, and their life is just kind of passing them by, and they're just in so much pain and discomfort? What would you like to say to them?
Don't lose hope.
Yes.
And please reach out, because there's help somewhere. You're not alone. And don't give up, and keep on believing.
Yes.
And this too shall pass, whatever works for you. But knowing that, for me, knowing that there were other people that may have had the same experience and that didn't make it, that was enough for me to say, I'm here for a reason. And I'm doing it messy. But I'm here for a reason. So just have trust that reason will be revealed in ways, and it may not be today. It may be further down the line. that truly, the universe, God, whoever you call on in those times of need, um, they're there, and it's a constant. But you giving yourself love and loving yourself enough to know that
Yes.
you are enough. I didn't realize how much the eating disorder was more of a such a cry out,
Yeah.
such a way of a slow suicide
Mm.
in ways,
Mm.
and how important our mental health is. And today we are in a mental health crisis,
Yeah.
and we're all having traumas, and big traumas, little traumas.
Yes.
Acknowledge them, and really reaching out, and there's a
Yes.
helping hand somewhere, and don't give up. Don't give up. Um,
Yes.
please, and
I
know
love,
that we're here.
yeah, I love that you said you are enough. And I want to say it again to everyone listening. You are enough.
You
And you're not alone.
are. Mm-mm. No.
We're all connected. We're all here to serve each other. Reach out, like Maria said.
Yeah.
Reach out. And even if that first person you reach out isn't exactly what you need, that is a stepping stone to get to where you are meant to be. So each hand that you reach out to, you're gonna get there closer and closer. And like how we discussed earlier, if it's not the right fit, you move on and find it, and you will.
Absolutely. And we have one life to live, and how we live in it.
Yes, absolutely. So let's make the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank you so much, Maria,
Thank
for
you.
coming on and
Thank
really
you.
being an asset for our for everyone that's listening and sharing your wisdom. You've been on this path way longer than I have. You started way longer than I did. So you have so much that you can give, and you've learned and accumulated for your own toolbox.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And where can people find you?
Maria McKeon Wellness, mariamckeon.com, on Instagram at its_Maria McKeon. I'm on Facebook, and just reach out. I also will be starting that podcast, One Healthy Woman. I'll also have a community there on Facebook to join, where I'll be posting those interviews and some. I also feel free. I'm teaching Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And just reach out, DM me. I'd love to have you as a complimentary guest to come and take classes. I also offer this Saturday, I'm having a class. It's a free class through Zoom. And then after the guided meditation, we're going to be talking about how to increase your immune system, utilizing some, full plants and a little recipe if you want it. And
Wow.
so just trying to add to wellness, and the wellness is we wellness instead of I illness. So
Yes.
we are, we're stronger together.
Yes.
And I need people in my community, and because I have a visual that I've had for many years, where we're just holding each other's hands, and in meditation, your left hand, I'm receiving and I'm sending it out through my body and giving it through my right. So giving and receiving. And in the circle, say you were next to me on my right, you would be receiving because I'd be sending it to you, and then you'd be sending it out. So I really feel like those women that are in my circle, I just picture them as you add to that. I've met you through Zoom and through Kathy Heller, and I actually have been picturing all those people that have really been a gift to me in so many ways.
Yes.
To give
A
me the
visualization.
space
Yeah.
to
Yes.
communicate, to be seen, and to know that, um, through each other, who we will help and how we're serving just by using our voice
Yes.
and connecting.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Yes, everyone go follow Maria and check out her podcast. Is that already launched or it's
no,
launching?
it'll be launching in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The same as mine.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
yes. Um, and she has so much to give. I mean, like even just now, she was saying, I have all these offerings that is free. You could come and like look how giving she is, how she really wants to share her knowledge and really serve you and to help you. And all the information all her information will be in the show notes. So if you can't catch it, and you're a visual person like I am, you could just go there
Thank you.
and get all her information and follow her.
Thank
Maria
you.
has so much wisdom. Thank you so much, Maria,
Oh, you're
for
welcome.
coming on the show. I appreciate it. And I'm sure my listeners are really enjoying what you had to share and really appreciate you as well. So thank you
Oh,
so
thank you.
much.
Thank you. It was wonderful.